I walked in quiet, like a thief in my own damn house. It was late, 11:43 p.m. The lights were off, except for a faint glow from the living room. I should have just grabbed the wallet and left. But I heard a whisper, then another, a giggle that wasn't meant for my ears. I froze. My daughter Emily's voice. "Mom, you're so bad. Bad." I crept closer, each step a hammer to the chest. Then came another voice. "Male. Not mine. You're sure he's out for the night?" "Relax," my wife said, with that sweet venom she wears so well. "Derek's an idiot. He believes anything I tell him." The world stopped spinning. I peeked around the corner, and there she was, Madison, my wife of 16 years, straddling some guy in my living room like it was a damn movie set. Candlelight, wine glasses, lingerie that wasn't bought for me. And Emily, my own daughter, sitting on the armrest, laughing, recording it on her phone like it was some kind of twisted TikTok trend. I stepped back, heart in my throat. I didn't make a sound. I didn't scream. I didn't punch a hole in the wall like the Derek I used to be would have done. I walked back out into the night, wallet forgotten again, and sat in my car with my hands trembling like I'd seen a ghost. But it wasn't a ghost. It was my wife, my child, and betrayal, deep, brutal, layered betrayal. I stayed out till sunrise. Didn't sleep. Didn't think. Just stared at my own reflection in the windshield like it might answer the questions boiling in my skull. Why? Why her? Why my daughter? Morning brought rage. I walked back in like a storm with a human face. Madison was in the kitchen, pretending to butter toast, humming some happy tune like she hadn't just dismantled our family with her bare hands last night. Emily was scrolling through her phone at the table. She didn't even look up. "Where is he?" I asked. Madison turned. "Where's who, babe?" "The guy you were dry humping in our living room." Her hand froze. Emily dropped her phone. I walked to the counter and held up the Ring camera, the one they didn't know I reinstalled last month after the girls' night lie. I pressed play. Moans. Laughter. Her calling him baby. Emily yelling, "He's got better arms than Dad." And then Madison, laughing, saying, "That's not the only thing he's got that's better." Silence filled the kitchen now. Thick. Violent. Cold. Madison's face turned pale, then hard. "Why the F*** were you spying on me?" I laughed. "A low, broken thing. That's what you're starting with." She crossed her arms, defiant, as if I had done her wrong. "You've been distant, Derek. Always tired. Always talking about bills and work. You stopped noticing me. I needed attention." Emily stood up then. "Dad, stop. You're ruining everything." That cut deeper than any blade. "Everything?" "Emily, you were there. You watched her cheat on me and didn't say a word. You filmed it. What the hell is wrong with you?" She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Mom said you'd freak out, that you'd hurt her." That's when I knew. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was calculated. Madison had turned my daughter into her accomplice. My daughter, the girl I raised, bathed, stayed up with through nightmares and flew, had picked her over me. I wanted to scream, wanted to punch walls, but I didn't. Instead, I whispered, "Get out." Madison blinked. "What? You? Him? Her? All of you? Out." Emily broke. "Dad, please." "No," I pointed to the door. "This isn't your house anymore. Not if you're loyal to her lies." Madison walked past me, cool as ever, brushing my shoulder like a stranger. "You always were too dramatic, Derek." Emily paused in the doorway, trembling. I didn't mean to. I didn't reply. My world had already gone silent, and the silence was louder than any confession. The house was silent for the first time in what felt like years. Not just quiet, hollow. Like all the laughter, all the warmth, had packed a bag and left with Madison and Emily. I sat on the edge of the couch. Our couch, still smelling faintly of the cologne that son of a b*** had worn last night. Every fiber in my body was vibrating with disbelief, fury, and this gnawing emptiness I didn't know how to name. I thought I'd cry, or maybe scream, but I didn't. I just sat. Eventually, I stood up and began moving through the house like a ghost. I opened drawers, checked shelves, stared at photo frames that now looked like evidence instead of memories. Every smiling picture of Madison made my skin crawl. When I opened the hallway closet to toss in a box of her stuff, something slipped and fell. A black folder. Thick. Inside, printed messages. Screenshots. Emails. At first, I didn't understand. Then I saw the name, Tyler Mason. Not the guy from last night. Someone else. The dates? 2 years ago. I flipped the pages faster, heart thundering. There were dozens of conversations. Madison sending photos, dirty messages, plans to meet at hotels while I was out of town. Some were even during our anniversary weekend. She told me she was sick and couldn't come to the cabin. I went alone. She went with him. She saved all of it. Like trophies. And suddenly I realized, last night wasn't a mistake. Wasn't a one-time weakness. It was a pattern. A lifestyle. My wife wasn't just a cheater. She was a professional liar. And she had been lying for a long, long time. The weight of it dropped me to the floor. I sat there, surrounded by receipts of betrayal, feeling like a damn fool. How many times had I trusted her? Defended her? Blamed myself when she was cold or distant. I had thought maybe we were just in a rough patch. I blamed work stress, aging, the usual garbage you tell yourself to protect your heart. But no, she'd just been busy hopping into other people's beds. And Emily? How long had she known? Had she covered up just the most recent affair, or had she been helping hide all of them? The doorbell rang. I jolted up, hands shaking, ready for war. It was my brother, Jason. Dude. I heard, he said quietly. Emily texted me. Said you flipped out. What the hell happened? I didn't speak. Just handed him the folder. He sat on the stairs and read it, page by page. His face twisted in disgust. Jesus Christ, Derek, he muttered. This isn't just cheating. This is next level messed up. Yeah. What are you gonna do? I looked around at the shell of my house. At the couch that betrayed me. At the wedding photo on the wall. A photo where I had smiled like I had everything a man could want. I don't know, I whispered. But whatever it is, I'm not staying quiet anymore. Jason nodded. You want me to stay? I shook my head. No, I need to be alone. He hesitated, then clapped a hand on my shoulder. Call me if you need anything. Anything. And then he left, and I was alone again. Only now, I wasn't just angry. I was planning. Because Madison didn't just cheat. She taught my daughter that betrayal is acceptable. That love is a lie. That loyalty is negotiable. I wasn't just betrayed. I was used. And I don't stay broken for long. The next morning, I woke up in my own bed, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. Her scent was still on the pillow. I tossed it to the floor like it was infected. The silence in the house wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. I got dressed like a machine. Jeans, black shirt, boots. No expression. No emotion. Just movement. There was only one place I needed to go. Madison's sister, Brooke, had always been closer to me than to her. They'd had a falling out a couple of years back. Something about money. I never got the full story. But I remembered Brooke once telling me, if you ever find out she's lying to you, call me. You deserve the truth. So I did. She opened the door with a wary look. Derek. Yeah, I said, eyes tired. Can I come in? 10 minutes later, I was sitting at her kitchen table with a glass of black coffee and the folder of messages between Madison and Tyler spread out. Brooke didn't say a word for a long time. Then she exhaled and leaned back. So it finally happened. You knew? She nodded slowly. Not about this guy, but yeah. I knew she'd been cheating. Not just once. Multiple times. I didn't have proof, and every time I tried to talk to her about it, she'd gaslight me, block me, scream at me, called me jealous, crazy, said you'd never believe me anyway. I blinked. Why the hell didn't you tell me? She gave me this look, this sharp, piercing look. Because Madison trained people not to cross her. You think you were the only one manipulated? I loved Emily like my own niece. And when I tried to talk to her, your daughter told me to mind my business. Said her mom just needed space. My stomach turned. She's been turning Emily against you for years, Derek, Brooke said softly, twisting her perception of you, making you seem like the bad guy when all you were doing was working your ass off to keep them comfortable. I clenched my fists. Emily didn't even flinch when I showed her the footage. She screamed at me, like I ruined everything. Brooke sighed. You didn't ruin anything. Madison did. Emily just doesn't see it yet. I looked down at my coffee, my reflection rippling. She's my daughter. She's also her mother's daughter, Brooke said gently. And Madison's been feeding her lies for years. There was a long pause. Then she leaned in. Do you want to know something else? Hit me. Tyler? The guy in the messages? He's not just some random dude. He's Madison's ex from college. The same guy she broke up with right before she met you. They've been on and off for years. I saw them together once 6 years ago. That was when Emily was 10. My heart dropped. You think? I couldn't even say it. Brooke nodded slowly. I don't know for sure. But yeah, there's a chance. Everything inside me went numb. I wasn't just questioning my marriage now. I was questioning my daughter's bloodline. I stood up too fast, knocking the chair back. I need air. Brooke stood too. Derek, I'm fine. I lied, already halfway to the door. Thanks. Really. As I got into my car, one thought burned itself into my skull like a brand. What if Emily isn't even mine? And worse, what if she is, but her loyalty never was? I didn't cry. Not then. But something broke inside me. Something permanent. I drove with no destination, just miles and anger and betrayal buzzing in my veins like poison. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew one thing. This story wasn't over, and Madison's lies were just getting started. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The thought kept circling like a vulture. What if she's not mine? Not Madison. I already knew she belonged to whoever gave her the most attention that week. I meant Emily, my daughter, or the girl I thought was my daughter. I stared at old pictures of us, birthdays, vacations, Christmas mornings. Her face lit up in every one. I remembered braiding her hair before school, helping her with her math homework, letting her sit on my shoulders at the zoo. All of it felt like a dream now. Was it love? Or was it a lie so big it wore the skin of a family? I couldn't stay in the house any longer. Everything smelled like her, looked like her. Every shadow whispered Madison's name in that smug, sugary tone she used when she knew she'd gotten away with something. I grabbed my keys and drove to a 24-hour pharmacy. Bought a DNA kit, the kind no one wants to touch unless they're desperate or dying. Back home, I opened the bathroom cabinet and grabbed Emily's toothbrush. My hands were shaking. I sat down at the kitchen table, placed the toothbrush next to the swab I'd already used for myself, and just stared. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was identity, blood, truth. I sealed the envelope with fingers that barely felt real and paid extra for express shipping. Then I waited. 2 days passed like syrup dripping uphill. I didn't answer Madison's calls. She left voicemails. Long ones, short ones, drunken ones, sobbing ones, cold and cruel ones. Like she was flipping through masks and couldn't decide which one fit anymore. I didn't delete them. I saved them. Evidence. On the third day, the results came. I opened the email in my car outside a gas station, hands trembling like an addict. And there it was. Probability of paternity, 99.999%. Emily was mine, biologically. But the relief didn't come. It should have. But instead, something else filled me, a hollow grief. A burning realization. She's my daughter, but she still chose her mother's betrayal over my truth. And that hurt worse than if she hadn't been mine at all. Later that night, I got a text from Madison. Just one line. Emily wants to talk. Come by tomorrow. We'll be civil. Civil. That word tasted like poison. I showed up the next evening. Not because I believed in reconciliation, but because I needed answers. One last time. The door opened, and Madison stood there barefoot, wearing one of my old college sweatshirts like she had the right. Her makeup was gone. Her hair a mess. But she still had that look. Like nothing could touch her. Like she was untouchable. Emily sat on the couch, eyes red and swollen. I couldn't tell if it was from crying or guilt. Or both. Dad, she said quietly. Hey, I replied. She stood up and walked to me, hands shaking. I didn't know what to do. I didn't say anything. I was scared, she continued. Mom told me you'd flip out. That you'd hurt her. That you might hurt him. My jaw tightened. Do I look like that kind of man to you? She looked down. No. Madison cut in. Derek, I know you're angry, but this isn't healthy. Dragging the past. Stop talking, I said flatly. You've done enough. Madison raised her eyebrows but backed off, folding her arms like a brat denied a toy. I turned back to Emily. You lied for her. You chose her lies over my truth. That hurt more than anything. Emily's face crumpled. I didn't know what was right. That's the thing, I said, my voice low. You did. You just didn't want to believe it. I walked to the door, paused, and added without turning back. I forgive you. But that doesn't mean I trust you. The silence that followed was the first honest thing we'd shared in weeks. And for now, that would have to be enough. Forgiveness doesn't mean peace. Not when betrayal's still echoing in every corner of your life. I drove away from that house knowing I'd never look at my daughter the same again. Madison, she was already dead to me. But Emily, her betrayal was personal. Deeper. Quieter. Like being stabbed with a knife you sharpened yourself. Back home, I sat at the kitchen table and played all of Madison's voicemails again. I wasn't sure why. Maybe to remind myself this wasn't some nightmare I'd wake up from. One stuck out. A message from 3 days ago. He doesn't even mean anything to me. I just needed to feel wanted. That part was familiar. I'd heard it before. After her first emotional affair years ago, the one she swore was just texting. I just needed to feel seen, she said back then. Always the same line. Like she'd rehearsed it. But now I needed more than just her voice. I needed proof. Solid, undeniable, destroy her in court kind of proof. So I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Jason, I said as soon as he picked up. What's wrong? I need your guy. The private investigator. There was silence. Then a deep sigh. You serious? I want everything. Every message. Every hotel. Every man. Jason didn't argue. He knew the tone in my voice. Knew I wasn't playing games. 2 days later, the PI, a guy named Cole, showed up at my door with a flash drive and a folder. You might want to pour a drink, he said. I didn't. I wanted the truth stone cold. Inside the folder were time-stamped photos. Madison kissing a man in a parking garage. Madison entering a hotel in broad daylight with a second man, a married coworker, according to the notes. Madison and that same coworker in a booth at a restaurant, holding hands like they were in some goddamn movie. There were at least 4 different men in the last 8 months. 4. And then came the kicker. One of the photos showed her at a lawyer's office. With the coworker. Cole pointed it out. Family law firm. She's prepping something. Wouldn't be surprised if she tries to flip the narrative on you. Rage didn't even cover it. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning to take me down after it. That night, I didn't sleep. I planned. Every voicemail, every text, every file, backed up in 3 places. I created a document timeline. I labeled every encounter by date and location. I even created a Dropbox with a private link. The next morning, I made a call to my lawyer, Tony Russo. Old school guy. Tough, sharp, ruthless when provoked. I'm sending you a file, I said. I want to nuke her in court. Tony chuckled. Let me guess. Adultery, manipulation, psychological abuse. And maybe more, I replied. He paused. Do you want custody? That question hit me like a punch to the ribs. Emily. Still my daughter. Still mine, even if she chose to lie. I want the truth to be undeniable. And if she tries to twist this, I want to be 3 steps ahead. Tony's voice grew serious. Then let's play chess. That evening, I received a text from Madison. Can we meet? Just us. No yelling. Just closure. Closure. I almost laughed. But instead, I replied. Sure. Tomorrow. 8 p.m. At the park. Then I sent the address to Jason, to Cole, and to Tony. Not because I was afraid. Because I knew Madison. And I knew that when a woman like her asks for closure, what she really means is, I'm about to do something ugly. This time, I'd be ready. The park was empty when I arrived. A gray sky hung overhead like a warning. The trees were bare, swaying in the cold breeze like witnesses too tired to care. I parked a little farther than usual, giving myself a wide view of the entrance, the benches, the paths. I wasn't paranoid. I was prepared. I checked my phone. Jason was on standby, parked across the street in his car. Cole was in position with a long lens, disguised as a guy feeding pigeons. And Tony had already filed the first batch of documents, full of proof, dates, and photos, just in case she tried anything dirty. 8:02 p.m. Madison arrived. She walked up in that fake casual way of hers. High heels in the grass, sunglasses on like she was hiding from the paparazzi. She sat on the bench next to mine, legs crossed like she owned the place. Thanks for coming, she said. I didn't respond. I know you probably hate me right now, she continued, like we were in a therapy session. But I needed you to see that I didn't mean to hurt you. You just needed attention. Right. I cut in. Spare me the script, Madison. I've heard it enough times to quote it in my sleep. She sighed and looked off into the distance. You don't understand what it's like to be a woman. To feel invisible. You work late. You forget birthdays. You stop touching me like I mattered. I looked her dead in the eye. You stopped matching the day you made our daughter lie for you. Her mouth twitched. She was just trying to protect her family. No, she was trying to protect you. And that's not the same thing. She shifted, uncomfortable now. Good. I want a clean split, she said suddenly. We sell the house, split the assets, and we both move on. Quietly, I leaned forward. Funny. Your friend at the law firm. What was his name? Aaron. Yeah, he probably told you that wouldn't happen once I filed first. Her eyes flickered. You filed? Not only filed, I said, pulling my phone out and opening the Dropbox. I clicked on the folder named Madison_proof and turned the screen toward her. Photos, videos, voicemails. She paled. Derek, you don't want to do this. If this gets out. It already did, I said, flipping to a screen where Tony had time-stamped the submission. Your lawyer probably hasn't told you yet, but we served him this morning. She stood up quickly, panic breaking through the act. You bastard. You set me up. No, I said, standing too. You did that yourself. I just pressed record. She stepped closer, eyes burning. You think you're going to look like a hero? Do you know how easy it is for a woman to flip the story? Cry a little. Say you were controlling, emotionally distant. Try it, I whispered. See how far you get with Emily as your only witness. A girl caught on camera filming your affair like a game show. That hit her hard. For the first time, she looked scared. Not angry, not smug. Scared. And then, just like that, she turned and walked away. No goodbye, no last jab, just silence. I sat back down. Jason texted me. You good? I replied. Better than I've been in years. I stayed there a while longer, letting the cold air wash over me, letting the truth settle. She was gone, and I had finally stopped bleeding for someone who never deserved a drop of me. The following week was like standing in the eye of a storm, deceptively calm, but I could feel the chaos building at the edges. I went back to work, slept better, ate actual meals instead of dry toast and rage. But deep down, I knew Madison wouldn't go quietly. And I was right. 3 days after our meeting at the park, I got a call from Emily's school. Mr. Carter, the principal said carefully, I'm calling because Emily was very upset this morning. She said you were emotionally abusive at home and that she's scared to return. I felt my spine go cold. I haven't seen Emily since last week, I said. She's been with her mother. Who told her to say that? The principal hesitated. She mentioned her mom helped her write it out. Of course she did. The next call came from my attorney. Madison had filed an emergency motion for temporary full custody of Emily, claiming I was mentally unstable and emotionally manipulative. Tony was calm, but I could tell he was pissed. It's a desperate move, Derek. She knows she's losing, so she's trying to flip the court emotionally. We're already filing a response. Judge will see right through it. But that wasn't what broke me. That came 2 nights later. I heard a knock at the door. Late, around 10:30 p.m. I opened it, and Emily was standing there, mascara smeared, eyes red, clutching her phone like it was the only thing holding her together. Dad, she whispered. I'm sorry. I didn't know she was going to do all that. I stepped aside, and she walked in slowly like a ghost. She looked around, probably expecting me to yell or shut the door in her face. But I didn't. I just watched her. I thought she was telling the truth, she continued. That you were going to ruin everything. That you'd take everything from her and leave us with nothing. I sat down at the kitchen table, the same table where I once taught her how to draw cats with triangle ears. And now, she swallowed hard. Now I think she's lost it. She told me to lie. Again. Said it was just tactical. That we'd be a team if I helped her win. And you're not on her team anymore. She sat across from me and stared down at her hands. I saw the messages. The folder. All the names. I didn't want to believe it. But she's not the mom I thought she was. That hit me in a place I didn't even know was still alive. She's trying to destroy me, Em, I said quietly. She didn't just cheat. She's trying to rewrite the truth. I know, she whispered. And I let her. Silence. Heavy and bitter. I reached out and placed my hand over hers. You're still my daughter. But trust, that's going to take time. She nodded, tears finally falling. She's going to be furious that I came here. I don't care, I said. You're home now. That night, Emily stayed in her old room, the one with the glow-in-the-dark stars still stuck to the ceiling. I stayed awake in mine, staring at the ceiling fan spinning like it was trying to rewind time. But time doesn't rewind. It reveals. And Madison's mask had finally shattered. What she didn't know was that this wasn't the end of the game. It was the beginning of her fall. Because the next day, I was going to expose her. Publicly. No more secrets. The sun hadn't even risen yet when I opened my laptop and dragged the final file into the upload box. It was all there. The proof of her affairs, screenshots of the messages she sent Emily, audio clips of her planning to twist the court's view. Everything. I had stitched together a timeline so clean and brutal it could have been a documentary. All backed up, all time-stamped, all legal. I wasn't sending it to the tabloids. I wasn't that kind of man. But I was sending it to the court, to her lawyer, and to every single family member who had ever believed her over me. Reputation meant everything to Madison. More than love, more than family, more than Emily. She wore perfection like armor. But now that armor had cracks, and I was going to pry them open. By noon, the first responses were pouring in. Tony called. The judge saw the folder. We have a hearing Friday. He's already suspicious of her custody request. A few hours later, Madison's sister Brooke texted me. She's losing her mind. Screamed at me for an hour. I didn't know she was that deep in it. You did the right thing. But the real confirmation came that night, when Madison showed up. She didn't knock. Just banged on the door like the devil herself. I opened it, calm as a monk. You smug bastard, she hissed. Good evening to you, too. You think you've won? Her voice cracked. You think airing our dirty laundry is some kind of victory? I leaned against the doorway. It's not laundry, Madison. It's evidence of who you really are. She shoved a piece of paper into my chest, a list of her supposed counterclaims. I glanced at it and smiled. Defamation? You think the truth is defamation? You're ruining my life. No, I said calmly. You ruined your own life. I just turned on the lights. Behind me, Emily stood at the top of the stairs, watching. She didn't say a word, just stared at her mother like she was looking at a stranger. You dragged Emily into this. Madison shouted. You did that when you made her lie, I said. You broke this family, Madison. Not me. And for the first time, I saw something new on her face. Not rage. Not arrogance. Fear. Because she realized, really realized, that she had lost control. I closed the door slowly and locked it. Emily came down the stairs, still in her hoodie and pajama pants. She's gone. For good, I said. We sat in silence for a while. Then she looked at me and whispered, I was stupid. You were scared, I replied. But you came back. That means something. I didn't know what the future held. The court battle wasn't over. Madison would fight like a cornered animal. That's who she was. But she had no ground left to stand on. I had the truth. And I had my daughter. Not perfect, not without scars, but here. When the court date arrived that Friday, Madison walked in dressed like a widow. All black. Hair pulled tight. She gave the judge a sob story. Played the victim to the letter. And then Tony stood up with the flash drive. The judge listened. Watched. Asked one question after another. Then he ruled. Joint custody. But only after Madison completed a psychological evaluation and 6 months of supervised visits. The look on her face was priceless. For once, she couldn't talk her way out. Couldn't seduce. Couldn't lie. Emily hugged me outside the courthouse. Thank you, she said, for not giving up on me. I held her tight. You're my blood. That doesn't change. Not ever. And as we walked to the car, a weight lifted from my chest. I had survived betrayal. I had faced a monster in my own home. And I had walked through the fire. The lesson? Trust is fragile. Love is sacred. But truth? Truth is bulletproof. And I'd never let it go again.